Good day everyone, especially to our beloved and most handsome and powerful teacher, no other than Sir Joey Tawiga. By the way, sir, my name is Lester Inisao.
And I, Aldin Jed Talido is my name, sir. So for today's video, we will tackle about the two types of voices, which is the active voice and the passive voice, and how we going to apply in the two voices, which is the active voice and passive voice, into tenses.
So in additional, there are types voices in a sentence, which is the active voices and the passive voices. So when we say active voices or active voice, tell us what the person or thing does. So since we are mathematicians, so we are going to use a formula of the active voices. So when we say active voices, there is a formula. The formula of the active voices is the subject, which is the first, the subject, then the action, and then the object equals active voices. So once again, the formula of the active voices is the subject plus action plus object equals active voices. And you, sir, what is the formula of the passive?
Okay, let's talk about the passive voice. When we talk about passive voice, tells us what is done to someone or something, or the subject is being acted upon, which is the formula of the passive voice is the opposite of the formula of the active voice, which is the first is the object plus the action and then the subject. So that is the formula of the passive voice.
And now, so we are going to apply the two voices in the tenses. So first tenses is present simple. So when we say present simple in the active voices is I write a letter. So that is present. That is the present simple. I write a letter. So first is we are going to apply our formula. So which is the I is the subject, and the right here is our action, and the object is the letter. And we are going to tackle about the passive. Yes, passive.
Okay, in the passive voice, so we transpose the active voice into the passive voice. So I write a letter. So in the passive voice, which is a letter is written, which is the formula of the passive voice, which is the object plus the action, which is the object there is a letter, then plus the action, which is written.
Okay, the second tenses is the present continuous. So the present continuous in these active voices is the am I writing. From the present simple, write, then in the present continuous is which is in I am writing. So in the active voices, I is the subject, then am writing is the action, which is represent to the present continuous, and then the last is the object. So the active voices is in a present continuous is I am writing a letter. How about the passive voice?
Okay, in the passive voice, which is the present continuous, so in the active I am writing a letter. So in the passive is a letter is being written. So the formula is, which is first the object, and then second is the written, the action which is written, then and then the formula is plus object, so subject. In this sentence we do not add the subject, which is because our sentence is grammatically error, and I mean error. So a letter is being written in the passive voice. So next, we'll tackle about the active voice na past simple.
Okay, the past simple here of the active voice. So from the right, from our right, the present simple. So we are transpose or transpose to the past simple. So the past simple of the right is wrote. So in the active voice, and we are going to apply in the active voice. So I wrote a letter. So which is the I is the subject, and the wrote is the action, and the letter is the object. So the wrote here is the past simple from past simple of the right. Yeah, right. So in the past simple, the active voice is I wrote a letter, and we are going to conclude that the wrote here is our past simple, and we are going to conclude that in our active voices in this sentence it is past simple. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sir Isam. So, in the passive voice, which is in the past simple, so I wrote a letter. So, in the passive voice, a letter was written. So, so all we know, we all know that the tells in the passive voice that tells us what is done to someone or something. So, we conclude there the sentence is already done. So, a letter was written. So, that is the example of past simple in the passive voice. The letter is already done. So, a letter was written. Okay? So, next, we're talking about the past continuous.
So in the sentence, the past continuous. So we are going. This is it, we are going to apply in the active voice. So okay, for example, I was writing a letter. So we are going to put in the active voice. So I is our subject, and then was writing is our action, and the letter is our object. So we are going to apply in the past continuous in active voices. So in the past continuous here in this active voice is was writing. We are going to put was, and then we are the right of the present simple we are changed in writing. That's why I was writing a letter. That is applicable of the where this is applicable, and we conclude that this sentence or this voices is past continuous. So I was writing a letter.
Okay, thank you, Sir Rizal. So, in the past continuous, in the passive voices, which is in the active, I was writing a letter. So, in the passive voice, which is a letter was being written. So, we conclude that the sentence is already done because a letter was being written. So, the formula there is the first is the object, a letter. Letter is the object there, and then the plus the action being written. Okay. So next is we're talking about the present perfect in the active voices.
So okay, thank you. So in the present perfect of the tenses, we are going to apply in the active voice and the passive voice. So first sentence is in the present perfect. So okay, example is and before that, so we are going to look at what is the present perfect in this sentence or in this voice. So the present perfect in this sentence is the have written. So we are going to apply in the active. So I is, as usual in our formula, is our subject. Then our action is have written, which is determined in the present perfect have written. So then this is our action, and as usual this is our object, which is can determine this sentence is the active voices and belongs to present perfect. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So in a passive voice, so in a present perfect, so in the passive voice, a letter has been written. So as usual, the action, the sentence there is already done. So a letter has been written. So next is we're talking about the past perfect in the active voice.
Okay, alright. Thank you, Sir Arden. So, in the past perfect, yeah, past perfect, so, of the tenses, okay, so, we are going to apply another in our active voices, and we are going to transfer from the active voices to the passive voices. So, the past perfect here, the one of the example that I have given, so, I had written a letter, which is we are going to identify which is this part of the sentence, or which is why this sentence is past perfect, because of had written. We are going to conclude that is this sentence is the past perfect. As usual, our formula, we are going to apply our formula of our active voices is I have written a letter, which is we are going to conclude, or we are going to examine that there is this sentence is the active voices, and it's belong to the past perfect tense. So which is have written our past perfect, and then our our voices is active voice. So example is I had written a letter.
So, thank you. So, in the passive voice, which is the past perfect, so in the active, I had written a letter. So, in the passive voice, which is a letter had been written. So, as usual, no, the sentence has been done. So, our object there is the letter plus the action had been written, which is the action. So, next, which is the future simple.
Yes, we are going to tackle another in the tenses, which is the future simple. When we say future simple, our action is not being done. So, yes, it is future. So, okay, the example here is I will written a letter. Sir, what is the what is the future simple in this sentence? So, the will and will written is our future simple, because will it is we can determine that is a future. So, and then we are going to tackle, or we are going to apply in the active voices, which is our active voices in the future simple is I will written a letter, which is not done. This action is not done. So I will written a letter. So our future simple is will written, and then our active voices, we are going to determine that is our active voices is the future simple because of the well written. Okay.
Okay. In the passive voice, in the future simple, so we transpose the active voice, which is I will written a letter. So in a passive voice, a letter will be written. So the object there is a letter, and then plus the action will be written. So that is how to transpose the active voice in the passive voice. Okay, the next tenses, which is the future be going to.
Okay, alright. So so our tenses is the future be going to. So when we say future be going to is the example of this is I am going to write a letter. So which is you in this example is you are not done to write a letter. So this is future. This is how this is you are going to plan to write a letter. So in this future, future be going to is the future going to is example this is going to write. So which is our which is can be determine our future going to. So in the active voice, and we are going to apply this. So I am going to write a letter, which is the I here is our subject, and going to write going to write is our action, and then letter is our object. So okay, explain how to transpose into a passive.
Okay, we transpose into a passive. So I am going to write a letter in the active voice. So in the passive voice, which is a letter is going to be written. So as we look at the sentence here, the letter is on processing, which is a letter is going to be written. So that's how to determine what is the passive voice. So next is, which is the modal.
Yes, the modal. The second part of our tenses. So, yeah, second last part of our tenses. So, the modal is, the example of the modal is, in active voices is, I must write a letter, which is the must write is the modal there, here, is the modal. So, must write is the modal, then we are going to apply in the active voices. So, I is our subject, and must write, which is our modal and the action, and then letter is our object. This, and we conclude that this voices is the active voices, and tenses is the modal because of must write.
Okay, thank you. So in the passive voice, so we all know the passive voice, which is first, we're going to say the letter first, which is the object plus the action. So I must write a letter in active voice. So in a passive voice, which is a letter must be written. So we conclude it is a modal, which is the must be written. So first object is, which is the letter, and then written, which is the action. So a letter must be written in the passive voice. So next, the last part of our tenses, which is the modal perfect.
Yes, we are going to perfect the modal. Okay, the modal perfect is in this voices. The example of this of the modal perfect is, I should have written a letter. We are going to add should have in the sorry, in this example. So example the modal perfect. So I should have written a letter. So and then we are going to apply in the active voice. So which is a subject is always first in this in the sentence. So in the modal perfect is the modal perfect here in this sentence is should have then written. So this is our modal perfect. So okay, I is our object, and then the action is should have written, and the action is should have written, then the object is letter. So we are determined, or we are going to conclude that this sentence is under of the active voices and belongs to modal perfect.
Okay, in the passive voice, in the modal perfect, so we're going to transpose or translate the active voice into passive voice. So in the active voice, I should have written a letter. So in the passive voice, which is a letter should have been written. So we concluded sa passive voice in modal perfect because of should have been written. So the formula, which is first the objective, which is the letter, plus the action, which is written, should have been written. So that's for the passive voice.
Okay, we before we end our video this day is once again thank you, and then we have a generalization in order to determine and to know what is the active voices and how we are going to use in and you are going to apply in the tenses verb. So okay, once again, in the active voices, this is the summary of our reporting. So present tense in this sentence is write. Then the present continuous is I'm writing. Then past simple is wrote. Then past continuous is was writing. And then present perfect is have written. Then the present past perfect is had written. Then the future simple is will written. So there is will. So the future going to is am going to written or going to written. So this going to written. In the future, the modal is must written, and the modal perfect is should have written.
Okay. So thank you. And the passive voice, which is the present simple. So we conclude it. We determine there is in a simple present simple is written, and then in the present continuous is being written. So in a past simple was written. So in a past continuous also was being written. So in a present perfect, which is has been written. So in a past perfect, so had been written. So also in a future simple, which is will be, so will be written. And then in the future be going to, so going to be written. And then in the modal, which is must be written. And then the last one, or the last part, which is the modal perfect, should have been written. So that's all.
That's all our report is. I hope you learn. You have learned. You get
You learn a lot of the how to apply the passive voice, active voice,
In the
and
tenses.
passive voice in the sentence.
tenses.
Tenses.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, and God bless. Thank you. Mabuhay. Maras si Karakay to.